There's a truth that nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to understand. The reason most people don't get what they want in life has nothing to do with talent, opportunity, or timing. It's far simpler and far more uncomfortable than that. It's the willingness to do what needs to be done when everything inside them is screaming to do something else. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way, something that cost me years of my life before I finally figured it out. Your feelings are a terrible, terrible boss. They'll work you right into poverty. They'll keep you small. They'll convince you that comfort today is more important than results tomorrow, and before you know it, years have passed, and you're standing in the same spot, wondering what happened to all those dreams you used to have. I remember this one winter morning, must have been 30 years ago now. The alarm went off at 5:30, and let me tell you, it was cold. I mean bone cold. The kind of cold that makes your blankets feel like the most precious thing in the world. And I had a meeting scheduled, an important one, the kind that could change everything. But in that moment, lying there in that warm bed, do you know what my feelings told me? They said, Jim, you're tired. You worked hard yesterday. You deserve to rest. They'll understand if you reschedule. One day won't matter. Every word of it sounded so reasonable, so logical, so right. That's the thing about feelings. They're master salespeople. They know exactly what to say to keep you right where you are. But here's what I'd learned by then, after failing enough times to finally get the lesson. I'd learned that the person I was in that warm bed and the person I wanted to become were not the same person. The person in that bed wanted comfort. The person I was trying to become wanted results. And you cannot serve two masters. You've got to pick one. So I got up, I got dressed, I went to that meeting, and you know what? That decision changed everything. Not because of what happened at the meeting, though it went well, but because of what happened inside me. I proved something to myself that morning. I proved that I could override the tyranny of my feelings and stick to what I'd committed to do. Now, let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. How many times in your life have you had a plan, a good plan, a plan that could have worked, but you abandoned it because you didn't feel like following through? How many mornings have you hit that snooze button when you promised yourself you'd get up early? How many evenings have you skipped the work you planned to do because you were tired or didn't feel inspired? How many conversations have you avoided? How many calls have you not made? How many pages have you not written? How many miles have you not run? All because your feelings convinced you that today wasn't the day. Add all that up. Add up all those surrender days, all those broken promises to yourself, and what do you have? You have the gap between where you are and where you could have been. That gap, my friend, is expensive. It might be the most expensive thing in your life. See, here's what most people don't understand. They think successful people are successful because they're always motivated, always fired up, always passionate, always ready to go. That's not true. That's a fairy tale. Successful people have the same feelings you have. They wake up tired, they feel discouraged, they have doubts, they get scared, they want to quit. The only difference that matters is that they've learned something crucial. They've learned that feelings are weather, and you don't cancel your life because of weather. You dress for it and you keep moving. Think about it this way. A pilot doesn't look out the window, see clouds, and say, well, I don't feel like flying today. Let's cancel all the flights. A doctor doesn't wake up tired and decide not to show up for surgery. A soldier doesn't get to tell his commanding officer, I'm not really feeling it today, so I'm going to sit this one out. Why? Because in those professions, there's no room for feelings to run the show. Lives depend on showing up, regardless of how you feel. And you know what? Your life depends on it too. Your dreams depend on it. Your family's future depends on it. Everything you say you want requires you to show up on the days you don't feel like it. But somewhere along the way, we've been sold this lie. We've been told to follow our feelings, to trust our gut, to wait for inspiration, to only do what feels authentic and true. And that sounds so good, doesn't it? It sounds enlightened and spiritual and evolved. But let me tell you what it really is. It's a recipe for mediocrity. It's a permission slip to stay small. Because if you only work when you feel like it, you won't work very much. If you only do the hard things when you're inspired, you won't do many hard things. And if you only stick to your plan when it's convenient, you don't really have a plan at all. You have a suggestion, you have a wish. You have something you might do if the stars align and everything feels just right. I spent years of my life operating that way. I'd get all excited about something, make big plans, tell people what I was going to do, and then wait for that feeling to come back, wait for the inspiration, wait for the motivation, wait to feel ready. And you know what happens when you wait for feelings? They change. They always change. That excitement you felt on Sunday when you made your plan, it's gone by Tuesday. That motivation you had after reading that book or watching that seminar, it fades. It always fades. And if you're basing your actions on your feelings, your actions will fade right along with them. Let me tell you about this young man I met years ago. Smart kid, tons of potential, big dreams. He wanted to be a writer. He'd talk about it with so much passion, so much fire. He had notebooks full of ideas, characters, stories. I'm going to write the great American novel, he told me. And I believed him. He had the talent for it. But you know what he didn't have? He didn't have a system for dealing with his feelings. He'd write when he felt inspired, and that would last a few days, maybe a week. He'd produce some good work, then the feeling would leave, and he'd wait for it to come back. Months would pass. Then he'd get inspired again, write for a few more days, and then wait again. 10 years later, you know what he had? A bunch of half-finished manuscripts and a regular job he hated. The dream was still there, the talent was still there. But he'd spent a decade being loyal to his feelings instead of being loyal to his plan. Now contrast that with another person I knew, a woman who decided she was going to write every single day for 1 year. Not when she felt like it, not when inspiration struck. Every single day. Some days she wrote garbage. Some days she only managed a few sentences. Some days she cried because it was so hard and she was so tired and nothing was coming out right. But she showed up. She did the work. She killed the feelings that told her to skip today, to wait for a better day, to stop this foolish pursuit. And at the end of that year, she had a finished novel. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. And more importantly, she had become someone different. She'd become a person who kept her word to herself. She'd become a person whose commitments meant something. She'd discovered that she was stronger than her feelings, and that changed everything. That's what I'm trying to get you to see. The real battle isn't out there. It's not with the economy or your circumstances or the obstacles in your way. The real battle is internal. It's between the person you are right now, governed by feelings, and the person you're trying to become, governed by decisions and commitments and plans. Every single day, that battle plays out. Every morning when that alarm goes off, there's a moment of decision. Every time you face the hard conversation, the difficult task, the uncomfortable action, there's a moment of decision. And in that moment, you're either feeding the person you want to become or you're feeding the person you're trying to leave behind. Here's what I learned to do, and this changed my life. I learned to recognize the voice of my feelings and respond to it differently. When that voice says you're too tired, I learned to say that's interesting, but I'm doing this anyway. When it says this isn't the right time, I say there's never a right time for hard things. When it says you'll do it tomorrow, I say no. Tomorrow I'll be fighting the same battle. I'm doing it today. It sounds simple, and it is simple, but simple and easy are not the same thing. This is simple, but it's brutally hard. It requires you to develop a new relationship with yourself, where your word means something, where your commitments are sacred, where your plan is more important than your comfort. And let me tell you, once you start winning these little battles, once you start proving to yourself that you can override your feelings and stick to your plan, something amazing happens. You start to trust yourself in a way you never have before. You start to believe in yourself at a deeper level. Because belief isn't built by positive thinking or affirmations or vision boards. Belief is built by evidence. And every time you do what you said you'd do, even when you didn't feel like it, you're creating evidence. You're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who keeps their word. You're becoming someone who can be counted on, starting with being able to count on yourself. The truth is, feelings are not your enemy. They're just terrible guides. They'll take you in circles. They'll keep you comfortable. They'll protect you from growth. If you let your feelings plan your day, you'll plan for comfort. If you let your feelings set your goals, you'll set ones that don't scare you. If you let your feelings determine your actions, you'll always pick the easy path. And the easy path, my friend, leads to a hard life. The hard path, the one where you do what needs to be done regardless of how you feel, that path leads to a good life. It leads to results. It leads to respect, starting with self-respect. It leads to becoming the person you always knew you could be. Now, let's talk about something that most people avoid like the plague, and that's having an actual plan, not a dream, not a wish, not some vague idea of what might be nice someday. I'm talking about a real, concrete, written down plan that tells you exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and how you'll know if you're making progress. And I'll tell you right now why most people don't have one. It's because a real plan is confronting. A real plan removes every excuse you've been hiding behind. A real plan shows you the gap between who you are and who you claim you want to be, and most people cannot handle that level of honesty. I've met thousands of people over the years who told me about their big goals. They're going to start a business, they're going to write a book, they're going to lose weight, they're going to save money, they're going to learn a new skill. And when I ask them, what's your plan? You know what I get? I get generalities. I get vague statements. Well, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to stay focused. I'm going to give it my best shot. That's not a plan. That's a wish with good intentions attached to it. And good intentions have never built anything worth having. A plan answers specific questions. What exactly are you going to do? When exactly are you going to do it? How will you measure whether you're on track or off track? What will you do when obstacles show up? And they will show up. What will you do on the days when everything goes wrong? What's your contingency? What's your backup? See, most people don't want to answer these questions because answering them requires thinking, and thinking is work. It's easier to stay in the dream phase where everything is possible and nothing is tested. It's comfortable there, but comfort is expensive, and the price you pay is your potential. I remember working with this young entrepreneur years ago. Sharp guy, full of energy, big vision. He wanted to build a real estate empire. Every time I saw him, he'd tell me about another property he was looking at, another deal he was considering, another strategy he'd learned about. 6 months went by. A year went by. And you know what he had to show for all that energy and vision? Nothing. Not one property, not one deal closed. So I sat him down and I said, "Show me your plan." He looked at me confused. "What do you mean? I got lots of plans." "No," I said, "show me the written document that outlines exactly what you're doing, step by step, day by day." He didn't have one. He had ideas, he had excitement, he had knowledge, but he didn't have a plan, and without a plan, all that other stuff was just noise. So we created one together. We mapped out exactly how many properties he needed to look at per week, how many offers he needed to make per month, how many hours he'd spend on education versus action, how much money he needed to save each month for down payments, what time he'd wake up, what tasks he'd do before noon, everything specific, measurable, written down. And you know what happened? Within 18 months, he owned 4 properties. Not because he got smarter or luckier or worked harder than before. He probably worked less hard, actually. But he worked on the right things because he had a plan telling him what the right things were. That's the power of a plan. It eliminates confusion. When you wake up in the morning, you don't have to figure out what to do. You already know because you decided when you were thinking clearly, when you were strategic, when you were at your best. The plan was created by the highest version of you, and now it guides the everyday version of you. That's beautiful. That's leverage. That's how you multiply yourself. But here's what happens for most people. They make a plan on Sunday night. They're all fired up. They've got their calendar marked. They've got their goals written down. They're ready to change their life. Monday morning comes, and guess what shows up? Feelings. The plan says wake up at 5. Feelings say sleep until 7. The plan says make 10 calls. Feelings say start with email instead. The plan says skip the dessert. Feelings say you've had a hard day, you deserve a treat. And without even realizing it, they abandon the plan and follow the feelings. By Wednesday, the plan is forgotten. By next Sunday, they're making a new plan, which they'll also abandon by Wednesday. This cycle will destroy you. This cycle will keep you stuck for years, maybe your whole life. Because what you're really doing is teaching yourself that your word means nothing. You're training yourself not to trust yourself. Every time you make a plan and break it, you're depositing into a bankruptcy account. You're going broke on self-belief. And eventually you won't even bother making plans anymore because you know you won't follow through anyway. So what's the solution? The solution is to treat your plan like it's sacred, like it's a contract you've signed with the person you're becoming. When that alarm goes off at 5 and you plan to wake up at 5, you get up. Not because you feel like it, not because it's easy, but because that's what you said you'd do, and your word means something. When the plan says make those calls and you don't want to make those calls, you make them anyway. When the plan says write for an hour and you feel blocked and uninspired, you sit down and write anyway. You honor the plan above the feelings, always. Now, I'm not saying the plan can never change. Life happens. Circumstances shift. New information comes in. A good plan is flexible enough to adjust to reality. But here's the key. You change the plan consciously, strategically, from a place of wisdom, not from a place of weakness. You don't change it at 5 in the morning when you're tired. You don't change it when you're scared or discouraged or tempted. You change it during your planning time when you can think clearly and make decisions based on what's best for your goals, not what's easiest for your feelings. The plan is your anchor. When the storms come, and they will come, the plan keeps you from drifting. When doubt shows up, the plan reminds you of what you committed to when you were certain. When you feel lost, the plan shows you the next step. Without it, you're just reacting to life, bouncing from one feeling to the next, one distraction to another, one excuse to the next excuse. With it, you're building something, you're creating, you're becoming. So you've got your plan, it's written down, it's specific, it's realistic, but challenging. Now comes the part where everything falls apart for most people. Now comes the daily grind of actually doing it. And let me tell you, this is where champions are separated from dreamers. This is where character is built or broken. This is where you find out who you really are versus who you thought you were. Because executing day after day after day, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what happened yesterday, regardless of whether anyone is watching or cheering or caring at all, that's the test. That's the only test that matters. Think about the salesperson who wakes up on a Tuesday morning after getting rejected all day Monday. The plan says make 30 calls before lunch. But every cell in their body is saying, not today, you're burned out, you need to recover. Maybe do some paperwork instead, maybe research, maybe training. Anything but more rejection. What do they do? The amateur listens to those feelings. They find something else to do, something that feels productive but doesn't actually move the needle. The professional, they pick up the phone, they make the first call, then the second, then the third, not because they feel confident, not because they expect it to be easy, but because that's what the plan says. And the plan doesn't negotiate or think about the writer staring at a blank page. The plan says, write 1,000 words, but nothing is coming. The ideas aren't flowing. Every sentence feels forced and awkward. The voice in their head says, you're not inspired today. Real writers write when inspiration strikes. Come back when you feel it. What separates someone who finishes a book from someone who just talks about writing one? The finisher writes anyway. They write terrible first drafts. They write sentences they'll delete tomorrow. They write through the resistance, through the doubt, through the complete absence of inspiration. Because they understand something crucial. Inspiration is the reward for showing up, not the requirement for starting. I watch people sabotage themselves every single day with this pattern. They set a goal, They make a plan, they start strong. Then life does what life always does. It pushes back. They have a bad day. They get sick. They have a family emergency. They face unexpected obstacles. And they use these things as evidence that the plan isn't working, that the timing isn't right, that maybe this isn't meant to be. So they stop, they pause, they wait for conditions to improve. And conditions never improve because conditions are always challenging. That's the nature of conditions. They're neutral. They don't care about your goals. They don't arrange themselves for your convenience. What I learned, and this took me years to figure out, is that you've got to create systems that remove willpower from the equation. Willpower is limited. It runs out. If you're relying on willpower to execute your plan every single day, you're going to fail. Instead, you need rituals. You need habits. You need automatic behaviors that happen regardless of your internal state. Let me give you an example. I decided a long time ago that the first 2 hours of my day were non-negotiable. That time was for my most important work, period. Not after I checked email. Not after I felt ready. First thing, before the world woke up and started making demands. Before my energy got depleted by other people's agendas. Before my feelings had a chance to talk me out of it. So here's what that looked like practically. The alarm went off at the same time every day, not some days, every day. I didn't ask myself if I felt like getting up. I didn't negotiate with myself. The alarm meant get up, and I got up. Then I had a simple routine, same every morning. Make coffee, review the plan for the day, start work immediately on the #1 priority. No warm-up, no easing into it, no checking what happened overnight, just straight into the deep work. And you know what happened? After a few weeks of this, it stopped being hard. My brain learned that this is what we do. The feelings didn't go away completely, but they got quieter. The resistance was still there, but it was weaker. The system was carrying me forward. That's what most people miss. They think they need to feel motivated every day. They think successful people have some special gene that makes discipline easy. That's not true. What successful people have is systems that make discipline inevitable. They've designed their environment and their routine so that the default action is the right action. They've removed as many decision points as possible because every decision is an opportunity for feelings to hijack the process. Think about it this way. If you have to decide every morning whether to work out, you'll find reasons not to about half the time. But if your workout clothes are laid out, your gym bag is packed, your appointment is scheduled, and you've told your workout partner you'll be there, suddenly it's much harder to skip. You've created friction around the wrong choice and made the right choice, the path of least resistance. That's not about motivation, that's about engineering. That's about being smarter than your feelings. And let's talk about the lies your feelings tell you when you're in the middle of executing your plan. This isn't working fast enough. That's a feeling, not a fact. Progress is often invisible until it isn't. You're falling behind. Compared to what? Compared to the imaginary timeline, where everything goes perfectly. That timeline doesn't exist. Maybe you're not cut out for this. Based on what evidence? Based on the fact that it's hard. Everything worthwhile is hard. You can take today off. You've been working so hard. You deserve a break. This is the most dangerous lie of all, because it sounds so reasonable. And maybe you do deserve a break. But this isn't about what you deserve. This is about what you committed to. This is about what kind of person you're becoming. I'll tell you what I started doing that changed everything. Every morning before I looked at my plan, I'd ask myself one question. What would the person I'm trying to become do today? Not what do I feel like doing? Not what would be easy or comfortable or convenient. What would that future version of me, the one who's already achieved what I'm working toward, what would that person do? And then I'd do that thing, even if I didn't feel like it. Especially if I didn't feel like it. Because the gap between who I was and who I wanted to become could only be closed by doing things that the current me didn't want to do, but the future me would do automatically. This is the daily battle. This is where you earn your future. Not in the big moments. Not when you're excited and motivated and everything is going well. But on Tuesday morning when you're tired, on Thursday afternoon when you're discouraged, on Saturday when everyone else is relaxing and you're still working, those moments, those decisions, those tiny acts of honoring your plan over your feelings, that's where transformation happens. That's where you become someone different, someone stronger, someone who can be counted on, someone who finishes what they start. Now let me tell you what happens when you actually stick to this thing. When you kill the feelings day after day and honor your plan week after week, month after month, something remarkable starts to occur, and it's not what most people expect. See, most people think the reward is the goal itself. They think it's about getting the money, achieving the body, building the business, writing the book, and sure, those things are nice. But that's not the real prize. The real prize is who you become in the process. I've watched this transformation happen in people over the years, and it's always the same pattern. In the beginning, they're white-knuckling it. They're fighting themselves every single day. The plan says do this, feelings say do that, and it's a war. But they keep showing up. They keep doing the work. And somewhere around the 90-day mark, something shifts. The resistance is still there, but it's not as loud. The feelings still try to derail them, but they don't have the same power. What's happening is they're rewiring themselves. They're building new neural pathways. They're creating a new identity. Because here's what nobody tells you about discipline and consistency. It's not just about getting results. It's about becoming the kind of person who gets results. There's a massive difference. You can get lucky and stumble into a win. You can ride a wave and end up somewhere good. But that doesn't change who you are at the core. But when you do the work day after day, when you prove to yourself repeatedly that your word is law, when you demonstrate that you're the kind of person who finishes what they start regardless of circumstances, that changes everything. That becomes your identity. And once it's your identity, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need someone to pump you up. You don't need to wait for the feeling. You just do what needs to be done because that's who you are now. I think about compound interest a lot. Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. And most people think about compound interest in terms of money. You invest a little bit regularly, and over time, it grows into something substantial. But compound interest applies to everything. It applies to your actions. It applies to your character. Every time you honor your plan over your feelings, you're making a deposit. Every time you do what you said you'd do when you didn't feel like it, that's a deposit. And just like with money, you don't see much happening at first. The first few months you're working hard and it feels like nothing is changing. But you keep making deposits, you keep showing up, you keep executing the plan. Then one day you look up and you barely recognize yourself. You've got momentum now. You've got evidence. You've got proof that you can do hard things. And that proof becomes fuel. It becomes confidence, real confidence. Not the fake kind that comes from affirmations, but the earned kind that comes from doing things you didn't think you could do. That kind of confidence is unshakable. Nobody can take it from you because you built it yourself, one decision at a time, one day at a time, one kept promise at a time. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've done this in one area of your life, you realize you can do it anywhere. The person who learns to stick to a fitness plan regardless of feelings can apply that same principle to their business. The person who builds a daily writing habit through sheer consistency can use that same approach to build wealth or relationships or anything else they want. The skill transfers. The character transfers. You're not just achieving a goal. You're becoming a different caliber of human being. Think about what this means for your children if you have them. Think about what this means for the people watching your life. When they see you stick to your plan through difficulty, through setbacks, through the times when you have every excuse to quit, what are you teaching them? You're teaching them that commitments matter. You're teaching them that feelings are not facts. You're teaching them that character is built in private, in those moments when nobody is watching, when you either keep your word to yourself or you don't. That's a legacy. That's worth more than any amount of money you could leave them. But it starts with a decision. It starts with you deciding right now, today, that you're done being ruled by feelings, that you're done making plans you don't follow, that you're done with the cycle of excitement and disappointment, of starting strong and fading fast. It starts with you choosing to become someone different, someone who means what they say, someone whose word is solid, someone who can be counted on, especially by themselves. So let me ask you this. What's the one thing you've been saying you're going to do but haven't done because you haven't felt like it? What's the plan you've been avoiding because you know it will require you to show up even on the hard days? What's the commitment you need to make to yourself that will change everything if you actually honor it? Whatever that is, that's your starting point. That's where you begin the journey from being feelings-driven to being plan-driven, from being reactive to being intentional, from being ordinary to being exceptional. Make the plan. Write it down. Make it specific and clear. Then tomorrow morning, when the feelings show up and try to negotiate, when they give you all the reasons why today isn't the day, when they make their case for comfort over commitment, you look at that plan and you do what it says anyway. You kill those feelings and you stick to that plan. You do it tomorrow, you do it the day after, you do it until it stops being a battle and starts being who you are. That's how you change your life. That's how you become someone different. That's how you close the gap between where you are and where you want to be. One decision at a time, one day at a time, one kept promise at a time.